Hi folks, welcome to your mwis winter planner. This updated on Friday the 27th of January. The general outlook is for westerly weather patterns to prevail, that even onwards into early February, just interspersed with occasional builds of higher pressure. So overall, it's a fairly changeable weather regime where we will see some frequent precipitation, a mix of rain and snow. Snow will accumulate over Scottish mountains as we see more often sub-zero conditions on the higher tops, but we will see some variations in temperature and freezing level from day to day. The pattern for the week ahead suggests that high pressure is toward the south, indicated by the pinker colours on this chart, and low pressure is toward the north with the bluey-green colours. We'll have some varying temperatures then, as occasionally we'll see milder southwesterly air coming in, and sometimes some chillier northwesterly air moving across Britain. We'll see most in the way of precipitation towards northwestern Scotland, closer to the passing weather systems, whereas under that zone of higher pressure further south, only fairly small amounts of precipitation for much of England and Wales. The suggestion further into February is that lower pressure to the north becomes the most dominant feature, which would keep things pretty unsettled overall and more extensively across Britain as well. The general weather patterns suggest, though, that the source of the air could well be coming around from Greenland and even northern Canada, so coming towards us on westerly winds, but from a chilly origin. So a greater chance to keep the freezing level lower for longer, with some falls of snow and hail and some heavy showers that rattle in on those westerly winds. Most frequent precipitation in the west, less of it toward the east, and suggest still often windy conditions would be common. The signal becomes weaker as we go further ahead naturally, but still the suggestion of fairly low pressure relative to average towards the north of Britain, so staying rather unsettled. And again, maybe on the chillier side, if you just take some suggestion of where the air would come from, it's still circulating around that low from more northwesterly origins. So again, maybe chilly and unsettled patterns, the mountains still often sub-zero as we go forwards. We shall watch those developments in time, but let's have a look at the shorter range details then. The freezing level for the week ahead, and that will vary quite considerably. Picking things up on a Saturday morning, notice toward the south of Britain we have a very low freezing level shown, and that indicative of a frost first thing in the morning. A wedge of milder air with temperatures above freezing to the highest mountains across northern England, and then some cooler air across Scotland, where the freezing level is down below 1,000 metres and indeed nearer to 800 or 900 metres across the Highlands for a good part of the day. That slight drop of freezing level drifting into northern England as a weak cold front just goes southwards. Now, the temperature will tend to lift across the Highlands as we go into Saturday evening and night, just taking things above freezing point to the higher tops as some milder air wafts in from the Atlantic. But then during Sunday daytime, a marked drop of freezing level will take place, a rapid change as an active cold front moves through, and we're back below freezing, above around 600 to 800 metres then through the afternoon into the evening. That lowering freezing level goes further southwards into northern England and Wales overnight into Monday, leaving things at around 800 metres or so into the daytime, so some icy conditions once more over higher terrain in England and Wales, and the freezing level broadly 600 to 800 metres across the Highlands. It's likely to start rising again, though, from the west as Monday daytime goes on, so by Monday evening near the west coast we'll be starting to lift back above freezing point. Overnight into Tuesday, temperatures just above freezing then onto the highest mountain tops for much of the country. Again, a lowering of freezing level is expected as the next cold front comes down from the northwest during Tuesday. Bit of uncertainty on the timing, but that may again be a drop back below 800 metres or even 600 metres in northern Scotland. England and Wales really struggling to get much below 800 or 900 metres throughout at this stage, so only really the highest summits getting close to or just below freezing point. In Scotland, though, you can see it's a more sustained low freezing level across the mountains. Through Wednesday, there will be uncertainty of that exact temperature and north-south boundary, but we stay sub-zero most likely over Scotland, before later in the week the indications are that some milder air just comes back in from the southwest and temperatures lift back above freezing point towards the higher tops. What does that do to the snow situation on the ground as we go forwards? This is how the model will see things. Do be aware that there is some quite consolidated hard snow across many of the higher mountains in Scotland. Not much really below around 900 metres or so, but over the higher tops, extensive snow and ice to be aware of, and even some icy, snowy conditions just on the highest summits in England and Wales to watch for as well. But in terms of any further accumulations, nothing really to play for during Saturday and overnight into Sunday. Just watch how things do develop during later Sunday, though, as that cold front goes through, as mentioned, and there'll be some fresh accumulations as we head overnight into Monday. That then stays around across the Highlands into the middle of the week. We saw the low freezing levels, so what fresh snow comes in there will more or less stay around. There may be a topping up again across western Scotland, possibly something more substantial through late Tuesday into Wednesday as fronts go through within that cold air. So, particularly over the Northern Highlands, some fresh snowfalls there. The model really not showing up anything further southwards, maybe just a bit more of a dusting or some icing across the highest tops in England and Wales. But it's Scotland where the greater likelihood of some more substantial upland snow is to be found through midweek. The general weather story then looks like this from the synoptic chart. Saturday has a weak cold front just sinking southwards, some rather murky and damp conditions around that and just ahead of it across the Pennines into Wales as well, particularly in the afternoon. Some brighter skies follow it, some lifting of the cloud across the Lake District and North Pennines, brightening up across southern Scotland. Rather cloudy in the West Highlands, one or two light showers of sleet and snow on the tops in the northwest. Mainly dry and bright toward the eastern side of the Highlands, quite blustery over northern mountains in particular, and that wind will strengthen further later in the day. Sunday does look to be a particularly wild day across the mountains, countrywide really. Severe gales across most of the uplands, severe stormy conditions across the Scottish mountains, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, and stronger gusts to be expected. So, really, one that's difficult from even moderate elevations upwards in the Highlands. We have a heavy belt of rain turning to snow on its back edge, and then snow and hail showers following on the cold front across the Highlands. Some low cloud and patchy rain across western hills in England and Wales, but not amounting to much most of the day. But it is a windy day throughout. The strongest of those winds ease for a time into Monday. Still gales possible early in the day across more eastern regions, then a relative lull, still quite blustery on many tops, but then will strengthen once more from the west as the next weather system over the Atlantic arrives. One or two showers for a time across northern Scotland, those will fade. Some sunshine, some bright skies, some fairly well broken and elevated cloud, but then later the risk of some lowering cloud and drizzly conditions, preceded by some snow into western Scotland as the next fronts do move in. Tuesday sees a cold front sweeping southwards once more, weakening as it does so, a spell of rain and some showers along with that, and then showers of snow and hail to quite low elevations in western Scotland may well be frequent throughout Tuesday daytime here, some possibly severe conditions once more then, with gales quite extensive across the mountains, possibly severe gales widely over the Scottish Highlands by this stage. So again, a rather difficult day in prospect with severe wind chill in that cold air. Wednesday looks to remain very windy, so once more, very difficult conditions to be expected. And again, snow and hail showers frequent in northern and western Scotland, and some snow maybe on the cold front over the tops in northern England and possibly North Wales as that sinks southwards. The threat of gales widespread again, severe or even stormy, over the tops for a spell into the middle of the week. It does just look as though things may quieten down somewhat in the later part of this week. Possibly still some further fronts around, though, into Thursday. That could give some snowfalls into the Highlands once more, but some milder air turning things more to rain or sleet from the southwest during the day. And then as high pressure just builds from the south, it may be that as we go to Friday, that's perhaps the better day of the week. Still could be windy in northern Scotland, but just a comparative easing of conditions. We'll watch the detail as we get nearer to the time, of course. Timing into next weekend is uncertain. What we're watching for further weather systems over the Atlantic trying to come back in. It's uncertain just how strong that high will be on Friday and whether it can just still be around into the weekend. So keep an eye on the forecast for that one. Plenty going on then in the week ahead. You can stay right up to date on our website. That is your winter planner. Thanks for watching today. Bye for now.